Guys, welcome back to Full Circle with Joyce. Time now for our second segment of the day, and we're going to be talking about books you need to be reading in this season. And remember, I also have a book to give away. It's actually this one right here, and it's by Betty Gikonyo. It's an autobiography, and it's titled The Girl Who Dared to Dream. Wow, and I think a lot of us need to be dreaming at this point in time. And this is The Girl Who Dared to Dream is the moving and highly motivational story of Dr. Betty Muthoni Gikonyo, who works exceedingly hard to overcome near insuperable social difficulties in pursuit of her childhood dreams. This tells her story having been born into rural neediness at a time when education for the girl child is taboo. Wow. Among Kenya's indigenous communities, but despite numerous roadblocks, social rapids, and waterfalls, Dr. Betty Muthoni is unrelentingly focused on her dream. She became a physician no matter the odds, and this is certainly a story you guys want to pay attention to. Judge Justice Joyce Alwoch actually said this story is simply a must-read for everybody. If you don't know who Dr. Betty is, she's a leading pediatric cardiologist in Kenya and the co-founder of the Karen Hospital. All right, so this book up for grabs here on the show. I need to think of an interesting question. Let me introduce my guest. Maybe she'll help me think of a question, right? As far as a giveaway. Karibu sana to the show. Here we have with us Lorraine Kirigia. I hope I've said it correctly.
You got it right. Thank you.
Perfect. How are you doing today?
Very well, thank you.
Thank you for coming. Very well. Thank you for asking. It's good to have you here on the show.
Asante.
What do you think we should ask guys so that they can win themselves this book?
I think, given the season that we're in, Joyce, it would be interesting to know what have you discovered about yourself during this season of COVID?
I like that.
What are some of the challenges that you've overcome? Let's see what people tell us.
Okay.
Yeah?
What have you discovered about yourself in the season of COVID so that you can win yourself this book? I like that.
Yeah?
I really like that. So Isikwetu, you know, people will tell me many stories, but I like that one. Tell me what you've discovered about yourself, and you could be walking away with this book. 22999 is the SMS line. You can also comment on Facebook and Twitter at Switch TV Kenya, and we'll be getting to those in a few moments here. But let's talk about discovering ourselves, and reading obviously is one of the best ways to be able to do that. Hopefully a lot of people have taken advantage of sort of the extra time that we've kind of had, or at least did have for some time, you know, earlier this year. But maybe just talk to us about your own self and what that self-discovery means for you.
For me, books are a way to freedom. They are a way to hibernating. You know, I love authors. I keep saying authors to me are like small gods. You know, because I mean, when you read especially autobiographies, where you get to know about somebody's life, how they got to where they are at, you know, at the moment, it really gets you to a journey. And it's a very interesting journey when you read somebody's thoughts that have been penned down. And for me, during this time, it's been about discovering about to be patient. You know, we've been living in the last couple of 4 or 5 months, uncertainty. You do not know what's going to happen tomorrow. I'm a mother. You're worried about your children. You're worried about your parents. So it's just been a moment to sit back and reset the buttons. Yes.
Absolutely. And for you, I mean, you seem like a very avid reader then.
I love reading.
How many books do you go through in a year?
Let's say I do about 3 to 4 books in a month.
Whoa.
In a month, yes. Yes.
Okay.
How many books do you read, Joyce?
Okay, not 3 to 4 in a month. More like 3 to 4 in a year.
Well, it helps that I'm also in a book club, and,
Okay.
and cheers to all of you guys. I know they're all watching. They were hoping you're going to send them a shout out.
Oh, okay. What's their name?
It's called 52 Weeks Challenge. So we
52
challenge
Weeks
ourselves to
Challenge.
read at least
I've heard
one.
of you guys.
Yes.
Shout out to the 52 Weeks Challenge. Pray for me, y'all. I need to get to reading.
We need to get you in the group so that you can read.
In a month. Oh my goodness, that's a lot of books.
Yeah. So it helps because then sometimes, and also, you know, books speak to you. You might pick a book today, and I promise you will struggle with that book.
Yeah.
But then when you know, a book club, people then will have other books that they are reading, and they'll say, have you tried reading this one? So you end up not reading the book of the month. I cheat a lot, guys. And then And then somebody else has recommended another book that has touched them in a different way, and you read that book and you just end up having a lot of fun with it. And then by the time you go back to the other book that you were meant to read that month, you actually now tune into it.
Okay.
So books do speak to you, Joyce.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'd agree. Certainly. Readers are leaders, it is said.
Absolutely.
Okay, so maybe just from your own experience, I mean, having read all of these different books, how do you kind of synthesize all the different sort of information that you're consuming and apply it to your life? Because hopefully it's not just entertainment.
Yes.
Right? It's actually to kind of improve your own thinking, open up your perspectives to what's actually happening in the world and different cultures and whatnot. How do you then synthesize everything and find something to apply to your life? And how do you even apply it to your life?
So I'll tell you what, different seasons will apply to me in a different way. So like now I'm in a season of teaching and speaking about networking through the Street University with Dr. Wale, who I saw here the other day. And people are very eager to know about networking and power connecting. Okay, so I've been looking for books and researching on books that will speak to me about that particular subject. And there are a couple of books that I can actually recommend to people who are looking for that. Okay. There's a lady called Judy Robinett who's written a powerful book called The Power Connector. There's a lady called Michelle Lederman who's written a book called The Connector's Advantage and also 11 Laws of Likability. So it depends on what season I am in. Okay. I've been a sales and marketing person, so people like Brian Tracy have spoken to me in many ways. And for me, reading came about because I didn't go to campus. Okay. So what happened is I immediately left school and straight to work into a sales job. Okay. And immediately I needed to understand the space that I was in. So I was very grateful to have an employer and a boss who really emphasized on us reading and just cultivating that culture. And people like Brian Tracy, people like Steve Covey, those are guys that I have worked with, you know, for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think that should be absolutely encouraging to a lot of people who didn't get the chance to further their studies in one way or another. YouTube University and then a book club and you're sorted.
And you're sorted.
Sorted for life.
You're sorted for
at
life,
least, you know, hopefully you were paying attention in class. So by the time you're finishing, you know, high school, you're able to read.
Exactly.
And write. And I think that's, you know, one of the most important skills.
Yes.
The rest is really your analysis and how you think and if you're open to information at all. But have you read this book?
I have read this book. Let me tell you, I love autobiographies, like I said. And when I read Dr. Betty's book, and then the other thing I wanted to say, Joyce, is it's one thing to read a book. It's another thing to know the author and even have a way to reach out to the author, because then you can sit and actually ask them questions and say, so what were you thinking when you went through this? And for me, what this book has done is knowing where Daktari has come from the village, literally, back in the day, and come to the city. But the clarity it has, and I really want to encourage especially young people to read this book, because from a very young age she was very clear on what she wanted to become, which was a doctor, because then she had seen her elder brother who was a doctor, and she goes ahead to have that clarity through primary school, through high school, such that then when you sit with your teachers, they are guiding you towards what it is that you want to become. All right, but it's also very authentic. You know, she's really laid herself bare about everything in her life. You know, she was a rowdy young person, you know, who took road trips. She was if you've come from the village and lived with parents, I mean with uncles and aunties in Nairobi, you know, you've once or twice been kicked out of a relative's house because you went partying too much last night and came home in the morning. So there's something very authentic about her African story. In fact, there have been two books that I've been told about, and one was hers and the other one is Esther Mushemi's book. And I'm really looking forward to reading her book as well. Yes.
Fantastic. I see a couple SMSs here already trickling in. Let me read just a couple. Hey Joyce, good morning. I've discovered that I can write. I like that.
Awesome.
They're saying, I am doing my first book at the age of 18. Wow, well done to you. I'm clapping for you.
We missed that boat to draw when we were young.
Right, we missed that boat. Good on you. And you say, God has been great and I have understood him even more. That's Mwangi Morris from El Bagon. Wow. Well done to you. That's fantastic. And someone here is saying, during this season, I have discovered that the things I thought were so important and those that I would lose sleep over are not that serious. I Love this. Suddenly, my life became empty. No job, no events, no friends. Suddenly, the noise in my life just disappeared. I've had to face myself. Oh, that's profound.
Wow.
I love that.
Wow.
And I've discovered I can live without a job. Hey, that's deep.
Okay. How do you live without a
That's
job? You need
deep.
to tell us.
Yeah, I think you need to write a book as well to tell us how you're going to live without a job. Oh my gosh, that's fantastic. But I love the attitude that you are sharing with us here, that just the noise disappeared and having to face yourself. Fantastic. And your name is Grace. Thank you so much for that. Okay, there's a lot of SMSs here. Let me read some more. Hey, Full Circle, what I've discovered about myself during this season is that I am a creative thinker and a solution giver. I can easily find solutions to situations that could be bothering someone else for a long time, but find it very easy for me. I also came up with a tippy tap at my home out of being creative, and that's Anastasia from Mushata. Asante sana. Tessie from Kangemi says, loving the show during this COVID time. I have discovered that I don't need anyone to confirm that I am an amazing person inside and out. My goodness, we're going to have a hard time choosing a winner today.
I know.
All of these are really great SMSs. And I'm so proud of my Full Circle audience. Are you seeing how they're so refined?
Well done.
Well done to them.
Well
Sheila
done.
from Mbakasi says, what I have discovered about myself is that I can do crocheting and I am a good babysitter. Love that. And you say, I have an idea of starting a small business. I need that book so that I can keep dreaming big. Wow, this is really, really cool, you guys. Thank you so much for sending in these SMSs. Someone here has discovered that they can do farming, and they've farmed maize and beans, and they've even harvested. They now have a kitchen garden with spinach and kales and onions, and they're saying, I can't even believe it's me. I love it. Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Thank you guys. Please do keep your feedback coming into 22999. I'm also going to be touching over to Facebook and Twitter as well. So I think we're going to announce this winner at the end of the show, just so that I can give as many people a chance to SMS in and share their stories. But Lorraine, you talked a bit earlier about 3 books as far as or I think there were 2 books that you would recommend as far as networking is concerned. For those who are sort of in a rut right now, are there any books that you would suggest to them to read, especially for the season that we've been in?
One of the greatest books, obviously, is the Bible.
Yeah.
I mean, all the answers that you're looking for is the Bible. And you don't read the Bible, with mindset of you're reading about God, you're looking for salvation, you can, I mean, the stories, if you put it in like, I know Pastor M of Mavuno usually will talk about a story in a Alejandro way.
Yeah.
When you read the Bible in that way and applying it in your life, it becomes very interesting. But also, you need to find out what is this rut that you're in? What is this rat race that you're in? You need to really discover yourself. It really starts from there. And one of the books I recommend, and I read it at a very young age, is How to Win Friends and Influence People.
I love that book.
Finally, a book that we've read together.
It is so important, that book. I think it's
such
life-changing.
an amazing book.
It helps you get through arguments.
Yes.
Helps you know how to be a leader and actually get what you want in life, not in a manipulative way.
Yes.
But in this idea, it's honestly, every young person needs to read that book. It's by Dale Carnegie.
Yes.
How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Exactly.
So important.
Exactly. And it even teaches you how to relate with other people. Whatever that space that you're in, it looks at inward, but then it also helps you to then deal with other people that are around you.
Wow. I'm so glad you've suggested that book. I think that's absolutely one of my top books of all time.
It is a must read.
Yeah, and it's one you can read over and over again.
Yes.
And if I was to throw another suggestion, I really enjoyed Lean In, mostly just as the perspective of by Sheryl Sandberg, just as a young woman, understanding, and maybe Dr. Betty Gikonyo's story in a way kind of relates to it, right? When you've come from a rural community, girl child, even education was not a thing, but you realize even in the boardrooms, after I read that book Lean In, when I used to work in a corporate setting, and I'd realize like I am the one like trying to help people serve their tea, I'm sitting voluntarily in the back of the room, and I'm like, why am I doing this?
And look at you now sitting on the table.
Right. So I think it's very important, and I say this because some of us have been raised by mothers who didn't get to express themselves. and you're here in the big city trying to grapple with this big brand new world and how to deal with your chauvinistic boss who keeps, making all these sly comments at you.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not your parents that might teach you something just because they also didn't know.
Absolutely.
And that's where reading someone else's experience or picking up a book can really help guide you and navigate you through some very interesting things in life. Because some of you also, maybe your parents are just way too traditional and they're just conversations you will never have together.
Yes.
Pick up a book.
Exactly.
Read it.
Absolutely.
That and YouTube University, I'm telling you guys, you're sorted. Oh my gosh, Lorraine, it's so good to have you here.
It's good to be here.
How do people kind of join your book club? Or is there a way for them to join?
There's a Facebook page called 52 Weeks Challenge. And if you're watching, please tell me if that's correct. It must be the correct thing. Yes, it's 52 Weeks Challenge.
Okay.
On Facebook, you can find us there.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, of course, we have our WhatsApp group now is full because then, guys would meet
How
physically.
Many are you guys?
About 250 on the current one, and we're always trying to be kicked out and brought
Men and
in.
women?
Yes, men and women.
Nice.
Men and women. Yes.
Men are somaing?
Yes, they do.
Come
on.
on.
We have this idea that people don't enjoy reading. People do actually enjoy reading. Actually, last night we had a couple that, because then the group is full and we have to bring in new people.
Yeah.
And, this couple was arguing who between them will be kicked out. And we couldn't kick any of them out.
Fantastic. Very quickly also, I know you want to mention where people can get the books. Are you a physical person or a Kindle reader?
I cannot do Kindle.
Okay.
I got a Kindle for a birthday present. I can't do it. I am so traditional, Joyce. I need to smell the pages. I need to turn the pages. I want to mark the book. I am a traditional person.
So where do people find books like this one and the others?
So I have, I've shared with your producers where to find Dr. Betty's book. Somebody's actually online waiting right now to read this book. I also met a lady where I go to make my hair. There's a lady called Grace Books.
Okay.
This lady hawks books.
Wow.
And I've met her severally, in different places. And she walks around with books. And it's a person, again, people can discover where she's at.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate you. Keep your feedback coming in. I'm going to be reading out more SMSs for us to award a winner out of this. But thank you for the great question.
I
think it's a good one.
Maybe
you
should
so
start
much.
a book club for your show.
Maybe I should.
We should have a book we read this month, Joyce. There's a challenge.
I actually like that. Will you come back for that?
I will.
Okay.
So pick a book.
If you guys want a full circle with Joyce Book Club, let me know in the comments as well. 22999 is the SMS line. With that said, speaking of couples, these ones were not kicking each other out, but these ones had an arranged marriage. Yes, people, it happens in this day and age. And they are young guys like you and me, and I really want to know if you guys would do the same thing that they did. 22999 is the SMS line. I'll see you shortly.